Some news on the front lines for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to talk about, obviously, the cornerback room, a specific player that has really made big strides to be a backup or really show some promise for the future of this team. I want to go over some free agents or a free agent that we did miss out on as of today or yesterday, depending when you're watching this video. So let's get straight into all the news.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope it's having a fantastic day. I hope everyone's enjoying their work week. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves. We have a wait, and we're waiting for training camp. Until then, we can only speculate on certain things, but some news have come out for the Eagles. And when it comes down to the defensive end position, yes, Leonard Floyd did sign a 1-year deal with the Bills. Now puts him with Von Miller. And the last time they were together, they won a Super Bowl. So that was a really good move by the Bills, obviously. So that is one down in free agency. Like I said, we don't really know how much interest the Eagles have on getting another pass rusher. We know that Milton Williams and Kadavius Street, both of those guys can play on the outside as well. They can always move guys around a little bit here and there. You always have to put into, kind of factor in that Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick and some of these guys can be in coverage as well. So this would be, really interesting. Yannick Ngakoue is still out there right now. Let's see how much, interest the Eagles do have in bringing him in. And probably, as much as you have, Yannick Ngakoue, Frank Clark, Jadeveon Clowney still out there. I don't think Jadeveon Clowney's too realistic. I think Yannick is pretty realistic. And who knows, Frank Clark might want to be on enemy lines. So you never know what could happen. I don't know why Frank Clark hasn't really been signed at all, for a while. I mean, some of these guys obviously were waiting till after the draft and waiting till, taking their time and watching how these rosters kind of come together, and then to make sure they have a starting job or to make sure they're getting significant playing time. They start, getting calls from teams and kind of waiting to see how much playing time they're going to get. So it makes sense at the end of the day, but Leonard Floyd is now off the table for the Philadelphia Eagles, and to see maybe later on if maybe by training camp or before that, if the Eagles make a move to add another pass rusher, I think they should. I think it's one of the most, obviously, to Howie Roseman and myself, the most important position on this team, which is the trenches, where it all starts. And I mean, the more pass rushers you have, the better rotation, the more guys stay fresh every 4 to 5 plays. So you could tire out offensive lines, keeping guys fresh all game long. And, the best team in the NFC. And let's see who really wants to join this squad going forward. So very excited, for that. So hopefully for, Yannick Ngakoue will be on his way soon. We'll see. That's what I'm kind of praying on right now when it comes to free agent signings. So we'll see. Now we have some news on, this came out probably a few days ago, probably a bit ago. Cornerback wise, Bradbury, big play Slay, Avonte Max in the slot. Avonte Max, we've been getting a little, nervous of him and that nickel spot. And really, when he got hurt, dealing with Josiah Scott at the nickel spot and the inside corner spot is not what you really want. So you want to have some assurance there, you know what I mean? And Zach McPherson is making some noise at the Eagles OTAs. From what was reported, took over with the first team at times. They're not going to overwork all these starters, but they were putting in Zach McPherson in that spot, and he played pretty well. Played pretty good, turned some heads a little bit. And it would be nice to see if somebody on the back end could work out here. I mean, look, McPherson was a 4th-round pick from Texas Tech. We weren't expecting to put too much pressure on a guy that's a 4th-round pick. We all know that. I think he's a very good special teamer, probably one of the best on this team as of right now. When he first got here, and obviously watching him in preseason, his coverage wasn't, he got burned for 2 touchdowns. I forgot what preseason game it was a couple years ago, but I thought his tackling was pretty good. I thought the tackling, he tackles low, really good form. So in that department, he was great. then played special teams full time, and I thought has done a really good job to this point. So maybe starting to make some noise a little bit. But you have to look at the back end of this thing. You have Greedy Williams on this team, which I totally forgot. And Greedy Williams, nice to maybe kind of revive his career. Going to a new team, has had a very up and down career, has had injuries in the past, and I'm actually rooting for Greedy Williams a lot to really make some noise for the back end of this roster, whether he's mostly going to play outside cornerback. I think between McPherson now, Justin Evans, I know he's our safety, but he has played nickel in the past as well. But I'm not going to put too much into that. He's hurt another guy that's hurt every single year. That's why he was really cheap to bring here. A veteran drafted as a second round pick from the Tampa Bay Bucks in 2017. Eli Ricks, some of these other guys. So, I want to see the back end of this roster, and I would like to see, between Mario Goodrich, Josh Jobe was making noise. They actually put him in for Slay at outside corner, and then having McPherson in the nickel spot. So they're trying to find some good combinations in case a guy goes down, or who they can really, who would kind of take that spot over nicely. So really nice to see, that some guys are making some noise a little bit. Obviously, we don't have full pads on. We're not in full pads, hitting 100% and stuff like that. So we got to take that into account. And we haven't had joint practices yet, which I think is very valuable. Nick Sirianni thinks the joint practices are more valuable than the preseason games, which I can agree on that, but preseason games, and you're hitting and you're going 100%, and you're not showing your whole playbook. That's really the only thing you're not really showing 100% of. But guys want to move up on these rosters, and get their spots. Obviously, we have our starters when we'll have Bradbury for another 3 years. We'll have Slay for another 2 years. But, when that time is up, with Slay with one more year left on his contract, or 2 years, I should say, you kind of got to think of what's going to happen here. You have Keely Ringo, which I hope that they do more with him instead of waiting a few years for him to develop. Cross-train the safety, do something with him, because when you have a guy that can play corner and safety, or safety and corner background, safety background, whatever the case may be, whatever their prime position is, it's nice to know those two positions. Obviously, you have more value to your defense that way. So there's a lot of good things to take out of it. Like I said, this is a very early process, but to see Josh Jobe and McPherson are really the two names that really have been sticking out for Eagles OTAs, and obviously we just reported one day with the Eagles beat writers being there for one day of training camp of OTA. Sorry if I said training camp a million times. I'm sorry, but that's all I'm really thinking about at this point. So Jobe, McPherson doing a good job, and, taking on the backup roles. Nickel would be nice to find something there, because can we trust Avonte Maggs' health? Getting hurt twice, in 1 year, and, waiting for him to get back. And we finally had him back again. Thank God, we had the first round bye, which really did help. We could have won the first seed a lot earlier, but, unfortunately with Hurts being out of game, and, Minshew choked in 2 games, or, the coaching staff really didn't use them the right way, brought more rest to some of these players as well when having that first seed. So nice to see that some guys are moving up. Backup corner is going, a depth at corner is going to be very interesting, between the undrafted free agents and obviously some of the guys that have already been here that are really trying to work for that roster spot, or at least work for being that backup role where if a guy goes down, they go straight in. And I think nickel's one of the most, I think every corner position is pretty important, but nickel is definitely, those inside guys, whether it's a big tight end, whether it's obviously a slot receiver, you have to work on those guys as well and make those tackles, and be really quick, be indecisive, have really good reflexes, and, nickel's a really tough position to play. And I hope, Zach McPherson really fits the mold. So, like I said, you got Greedy Williams back there. You have, Mario Goodrich, Josh Jobe. There's, Eli Ricks. You have a bunch of guys that I really want to see what happens during training camp, of what this competition is going to look like, and who really pans himself on top of the whole situation. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I don't know you guys, but I think it's interesting. Lastly is Derek Barnett. I saw a lot of guys on Jakeep Sports talking about this really the past couple weeks, probably a while, for a bit, even some news yesterday. And they believe that there's a trade for Derek Barnett, that they want to get rid of him. He's a $2 million cap hit this year. I don't even know how much he's making. It's not much. It's not even like $3 million. He's still making a lot of money and hasn't really done between the injuries and, he hasn't done nothing since his rookie year. I mean, really, 18 wasn't a bad year for him, I'll say that. But really, after that, he's been a knucklehead on the field. I mean, if you could trade J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, if you could trade Jalen Reagor, I'm guessing there's a chance to trade Derek Barnett. I guess he has value. I don't know. For me, he has no value. He has no value unless there's a team that's willing to take him on. Obviously he's cheap. If they trade him, he's obviously cheap for this year. I mean, it's going to cost the team nothing to acquire him. I mean, absolutely nothing. So, I mean, you're going to get a 7th round pick for him. I mean, if you get anything higher than a 7th round pick, I'll be happy. Obviously, you're not getting your investment because he was a 1st round pick. You know what I mean? You got his investment from, you got, value from him from, his rookie year, maybe 2018, but, the 2018 season. But really after that, really nothing much. Just kept getting hurt. Can't stay on his own 2 feet at this point, and is a knucklehead on the field. Even I think Nick was tired of him even in 2021, where he kept getting penalties and he was pushing Tom Brady and he was, punching balls out of the running back's hand when the play and the whistle was already blown. It's just he does stupid things, and I don't know why he does that. When a guy does that, it's just pure selfishness and doesn't and puts himself over the team. And I don't like that. I don't like players like that. I don't want him to ruin the vibe to this defense. That's what I worry about. So if you get rid of him, I feel like you still got to bring somebody in. And I wasn't even against really keeping him this year. If he starts being stupid, then I don't know. They're going to have to reprimand him. But if he actually, at least get some pressures. I don't even care what his sack numbers look like. Just get some pressures. Definitely this is a contract year for Derek Barnett. I mean, this is it. After this year, I don't think the Eagles are going to reacquire him again and re-sign him for, for a 3rd time. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think as of right now, there could potentially be a trade for him. But when you look at the defensive ends, the rotation of the guys. So when you look at it here, and we talked about Milton Williams, we talked about, earlier in the video, Milton Williams and Kadavia Street, that they could play defensive and they can move them to the outside if they want. But when you look at it, what you're kind of looking at here is Graham, Hassan Reddick. Then you got Nolan Smith, you got Josh Sweat. Okay. And then you got Derek Barnett for your 3rd rotation, but who else? Who's the other guy? Are they going to move Kyron Johnson back to defensive end? Are they going to keep Patrick Johnson on the outside? I feel like they still need to go out in free agency and get another pass rusher, whether they trade Barnett or not. If they trade him, they need to get another guy. I think they need to get another guy. If they keep Barnett, I don't mind it, but they have to still get a free agent defensive end. I feel like they just need another pass rusher, kind of complete that, defensive end rotation for your 3rd rotation would be pretty good. Because really, at the end of the day, your first 2 rotations, your first 2 defensive lines, period, could start for another team. I mean, that's how deep this team is. Defensive tackle is deep enough right now, which is good. Before, a couple months ago, it wasn't, and then they really add some good pieces there. And obviously, with Jalen Carter and Kadavia Street's a nice depth piece for that role as well. But like I said, Derek, I feel like they still really need to get a defensive end free agent that's out there, Yannick Ngakoue. I feel like they still need to just get one more piece for that defensive line to kind of complete that 3rd rotation. If Derek Barnett's still hurt, and if he's not, and they trade him, they definitely need another body because they just don't, they need somebody else. And there's plenty still out there in free agency for this defensive line as well. So really, that's really about it. I don't hate Derek Barnett. I don't dislike him or anything. It's just, he just does some stupid stuff on the field, and I haven't really respected him, too much. We haven't seen him play in a while. I almost forgot he was on the team last year. Even this offseason, you barely talk about him, but there has been some rumors here and there, and a lot of the guys, the beat writers, are saying that there's some inside information that, we've heard about a Quez Watkins trade. We've heard about, Derek Barnett getting dealt before training camp. So it could be possible, just got to give it some more time. So at the end of the day, that's it. We talked about Leonard Floyd to the Bills. Yannick Ngakoue still out there. Zach McPherson really starting to make some noise at OTAs at the nickel spot. Great special teamer. Really trying to see the back end of this corner position with Greedy Williams, Mario Goodrich, Josh Jobe, Keely Ringo, some of these other guys, Eli Rick, some of these other guys that we do have that can make some noise. And, like I said, training camp, OTAs, not training camp. I keep saying training camp because I want training camp to be here. OTAs, making a lot of noise at OTAs. And like I said, we're not in full pads yet. So, off of one written beat writers are writing down everything, you know, and tweeting out stuff, you know, for guys that aren't even in full pads yet. We kind of have to pump the brakes a little bit, but it's nice that at least they're giving some other guys a chance. They're seeing what these guys look with the ones, you know, and facing good receivers. I think, you know, iron sharpens iron at the end of the day for this cornerback group, because, you know, you're facing Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and a lot of the other guys. So it puts in really good work for your defense as well, which, like I said, you have a good team on both sides. It's just going to make you better, you know, at the end of the day. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the Derek Barnett situation. Would you trade him? Would you not trade him? Zach McPherson, who really, besides the starters, who really comes out on top as a nickel? Who comes out on the outside? Like, who do you think is going to make noise during training camp? Whether you think it's Greedy Williams or Matt Goodrich, you know, maybe Josh Jobe is starting to make some noise a little bit, you know, taking over Slay's spot, you know, with the ones, which is pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys have a fantastic work week and a fantastic day. I'll see you guys. If you guys last this long, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. More Eagles news every day. You know what's going on. And I'll see you on the next one. Shakes it up. Follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.